the Minnesota Timberwolves select Kevin Garnett from Farragut Academy in Chicago.
At age 19, Kevin Garnett was selected in the first round of the 1995 NBA draft. It was a gutsy move to take an unseasoned high school player, but the Timberwolves had full confidence in their prodigy, and the player, known as the Kid, did not disappoint. Despite his 7-foot frame, he moved like a much smaller man, demonstrating a remarkable ability to play every position on the court. And when it came time to negotiate his contract, Garnett knew he'd lived up to expectations.
When you came here, after a couple of years, they offered you a $102 million contract, and you turned it down.
What you think is fair, and what I think is fair, might be a difference.
So you didn't think that was a fair deal?
I'm not saying that.
Well, what are you saying?
What? Okay.
Okay, now I'm just asking. I know, but I'm just trying to get a sense. Yeah.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is, at the time, you know, in business, you never take a first offer. You never take a first offer.
Garnett's contract veto made front-page headlines across the country. It was a slap in the face to the Timberwolves, whose offer already seemed wildly inflated for a team at the bottom of the league, even with Garnett. Even so, they eventually agreed to pay Garnett a whopping $126 million over 6 years. The long-term deal is the highest, not only in the NBA, but the biggest in the history of pro sports.
Did you feel stunned when he signed a $126 million deal?
Me, hell yeah, I was stunned. I mean, my father was a miner, worked in northern Minnesota.
Kevin McHale is a former Boston Celtics star and University of Minnesota icon. Shortly before Minnesota signed Garnett, McHale was named Vice President of Operations to help rescue the third-rate team. One of McHale's first moves was to bring in Garnett.
When he signed that deal, a lot of owners and others within the league said, groaned, I think, in unison about the size of it, and some people say it contributed to the lockout, which came later. What's your thought?
I suppose there's always a straw that breaks the camel's back. This might have been the bale of hay. I don't know.
Whether or not it was the main reason, Garnett's contract frightened NBA owners into reopening the collective bargaining agreement. Last season, the league shut down completely while the players' union and the owners worked out a new deal, putting an end to Garnett-type salaries.
Okay.
But Kevin's earnings were secure, and he'd come a long way from an uncertain period in his life.
There was a time when you were very depressed. What was that all about?
Well, when you're young, man, and you're thinking that you got the world on your shoulders and you're immortal, that was taken away, and that was drastic. That was something like...
When was this?
Well, this is when I think I got expelled from school, and I was in 11th grade.
Born and raised in South Carolina, Garnett was nearing the end of his junior year in high school when he was involved in an incident that would change his life. A fight broke out between a white and a black student, and Garnett got caught up in the melee that followed. He and 4 other students were later arrested.
What was it you were accused of, and what did you do?
A kid allegedly broke his ankles, was injured, and they said I was one of the ones that was the cause of that.
What were you really doing there?
I was watching, jumping up and down with a ding-dong in my hand.
But his height and stature as a basketball star made Garnett stand out, and witnesses pointed to him. The charges were later dropped, but the incident left Garnett bitter.
I saw the real people from the fake people. I had a lot of people, that just turned their backs, almost like they didn't see nothing.
You realized who your friends were.
Who my real friends were.
And one of those friends was a guy named Bug?
Jamie Peters.
Oh, y'all see this? Look at that.
Jamie Peters, a.k.a. Bug, is part of Garnett's inner circle, a group of friends from South Carolina called the OBF, or the Official Block Family. The OBF, and especially Bug, are Garnett's life support system.
I can't even put Bug into perspective because he's like that person that can't be replaced. You know how your mom can't be replaced, sister can't be replaced? Bug's someone that can't be replaced.
How did you guys become friends?
Our mothers were roommates before we were born.
Bug supported Garnett when, still fuming over the arrest, he surprised almost everyone and moved to Chicago for his senior year. Bug moved with him, and Kevin's mother later followed. Garnett chose the Windy City after meeting Coach Wolf Nelson at a Nike summer camp there. Nelson also coached at a public school called Farragut Academy, where he helped Kevin enroll.
I would laugh all the time. You know, he when I introduced him to people, we talked to different people, and he's very mannerable. You know, always yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. And people would ask me and say, "Where'd you get him from?"
What was it like for basically a country boy like you to end up in the third largest city in the country?
I'll never forget when I made the move. Bud came with me and made it a lot more smoother.
From the suburban town of Malden, moving to Chicago, Illinois, West Side. Never been there. It was a rough move, but he handled it.
Garnett stayed off the street and on the court, where basketball was his salvation. He led the Farragut Admirals to their first city championship in more than 50 years. After graduation, Garnett was hoping to go to a Division I college, but his national test scores were not high enough. So Garnett boldly jumped to the pros, where only a handful of high school players had successfully made that transition since Moses Malone did it back in 1974.
I know it wasn't going to be no one getting me up in the morning. I know it wasn't going to be anyone pushing me when I was out there. I looked at it as I'm out there by myself, so I got to fend for myself.
It's more than just whether or not you can play well, making that transition from high school to the NBA.
Oh, no question. A lot of it is what you have up, you know, how mentally tough are you? Because it's a grind. It's a grind. It's hard.
Garnett's move set in motion a new trend of skipping college for the NBA, and players like Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant successfully followed Garnett's lead. But others, like Dallas Maverick Leon Smith, who attempted suicide, buckled under the pressure of turning pro at a young age.
They sort of look at themselves and look at us as saying that they can, well, I can make it, or it doesn't look that hard. You know, they don't really understand the backside of it, that, you know, it's a business, and that you have to have some sense of what's going on. You have to have some sense of responsibility, and you have to be mature in situations that, you know, some guys are probably not ready for.
Were you ready?
You know what? I was ready from a responsibility standpoint.
Despite that sense of responsibility and a seriousness belying his 23 years, Garnett is still a kid at heart.
They were telling me you got some superstitions and things.
Rubber bands.
What about rubber bands?
Always keep a rubber band on.
What's that all about?
I don't know. You know, trying to be the best back then, and motivation.
When he makes a mistake, he grabs that rubber band, he pops himself with that rubber band just to remind himself, you know, to think. You'll see him point his head a lot of times, you know, come on, you know.
If I had terrible practice, throw those shoes away.
Throw the shoes away?
These days, Garnett can well afford to throw shoes away, since he's got a Nike endorsement deal that includes his own line of sneakers.
How much they paying you? I don't see it.
This might help you. This really might help you. Hope you miss it.
Garnett is enjoying his fame and fortune, always sharing it with the official block family, who are right there with him. As for himself, he sports 6-carat diamond studs in each ear.
Everybody's entitled to treat themselves, you know. I feel like, I work hard, you know, save my money. Just be able to, you know, treat myself to a nice car, a nice pair of something, so whether that be earrings, bracelet, necklace, if I want.
You're already rich. You're already famous. You're a great basketball player. What's your goal now?
I'm a good basketball player, and I feel like I can be even better as I work, and I feel like it's so much that I don't know.
You're not thinking championship? You're not thinking...
I always think championship. If you don't think championship when you come into preseason and to camp, then you shouldn't even come in the gym.
What do you envision for him down the road?
I envision him walking off the floor holding up the NBA championship, and I think that is when, you know, Kevin probably will come full circle back to the high school kid. Who's this arrogant high school kid coming out of high school? Who's this kid turning down $100 million? Who's all this? That's when it's going to come full circle.